So I saw like Something's Gotta Give. Um, it's a movie. It's got a few different people in it, like Jack Nicholson and Diane Lane and Keanu Reeves. I don't know what year it's from, but I saw it like for the first time, and it was I felt like a comedy. And sure enough, it's a little bit funny, but it's also a little bit like you wish things had turned out a different way kind of movie, because the relationship that's developed between the characters that Jack and Diane play, it just seems that they don't actually fit, even though they're closer to the age group of each other. So it's a real, silly kind of movie where you just wish that everyone would just let go of their relationships, because none of them are really matching. I mean, the one with Diane and Keanu isn't actually in sync. Number one, Keanu's a fan of hers. Number two, he's way too young for her. Number three, when they're actually in a relationship, he's the controlling component. So it's a bit of a dominant relationship, which seems good. But when you see that he's controlling the relationship, it's kind of bad as well, because she's obviously the character Diane plays, isn't really getting a good deal with it so much. I mean, sure enough, she's dating someone young, which is a little bit embarrassing, actually, but because their age groups aren't in sync, and you notice that if people criticized it, it would leave them vulnerable to realization that a relationship could be frowned upon because of the age gap or something by others, and embarrassment for either one. But also, she's not getting a good deal, because the Keanu guy, the younger guy, he's not just a fan, who's besotted with someone kind of famous, he's also the controller. So he doesn't want to be pushed around. He wants to push the chick around, the woman around. So that's what you kind of see. And then when Jack was with her, at the beginning he was with someone way too young, and it was a cause of distress because he couldn't keep up with the young chick. But then when he developed a relationship with the mom, which is Diane's character, sure enough, they had some flirty moments, and she was probably finding, his typing appealing, and they had a bit of fun and stuff. But, it was unhealthy for the both of them, really. Obviously Diane's character was fooling around because maybe she felt bad for going out on a date with someone kind of young. So while she was sort of, spilling, like opening a book, she may as well turn a page and let someone else in, it seemed. But more than that, so she's already sort of not just putting herself under distress, but also the old guy who's had a heart attacks. She's putting them under distress because of the, sexually based relationship that they're ensuing. So even though they're like the same age, she wants probably too much from the guy who's just about on death's door sort of thing. So it's sort of like you just wish the guy would go back to his home and disappear, because he's getting a kind of a good thing, but he's not really fit for it. He doesn't really want to have closeness all the time, which is apparent. And because of that, the relationship's no good for him. And the more she wants to hang on to it, is you just think, oh, you wish he'd just go away. So he does eventually go away from the summer house to his own place. And when Diane's character, next sees his character, he's in a restaurant with a younger chick, obviously back in his element, where things make sense and they work and it's something grounding. And he's more comfortable. I mean, with Diane's character, he's having heart attacks because her clinginess is putting him under distress, and he's obviously getting his feathers unruffled. He's getting emotionally involved, and it's no good for someone who's having heart attacks all over the place. So he has like 4 or 5 heart attacks by the end of the film, or stress-induced circumstances which could lead to a heart attack. So, anyway, Diane's character gets angry at him because she obviously had, a pretty intimate moment in the summer house, but the more she wants to hold on to him, you just wish he'd push her away a little bit, because it was no good. They tried it, it was no good. And then him running after her again just gets annoying, because the movie keeps going. It doesn't end, where you think that would end, and it just keeps going, and he keeps running after this old chick about a little younger than him, and it's like, you just wish he'd stop running after people and ground himself a little bit. Like, it was sort of, I know, like, young and old relationships are probably no good, but the one in the restaurant seemed better than Diane's one. So even though they're closer to the same age group, or both a little bit old, their relationship's not actually any good, and he keeps running after it. And at the end, when he meets her in a restaurant, it's nice to see Kenny's character being, anything but jealous, more like generous of their time and to enjoy themselves. They invite him, the Jack character, to sit with them and help celebrate, and even though he's kind of stormed on like a hunt, like they're, a pretty special time. So, on the hunch that, Diane's character would be embarrassed because she said that's what she wanted, and it made sense that he should join her because of the moment together when they said, oh, maybe we should both be embarrassed at the same time. But the more he runs after her, you just wish he wouldn't. And when she was running after him, you're sort of thinking, well, that makes sense, because the other one, is a pretty topsy-turvy relationship. She probably doesn't feel comfortable with it. And then the other one sort of makes more sense, but it doesn't mean that it's any good. So anyway, so you were just left thinking, oh, when isn't someone just going to break it off? It's like, but at the end, the two characters do get together for a hug or whatever, and it's like, it's not even closure, because it's still an unsettled relationship, and yeah, I just think, oh, what an unsatisfying movie, because there's lots of crying, even though it's done in a comedy way. There's lots of crying, and it's like, goes on, and the relationships are still unsettled by the end, and you're just thinking, I think it's about time everyone just goes their separate ways, because I just don't really think any of them are any good and stuff. But It's a pretty full-on movie, actually, when you kind of think about it. So, so it's really weird how... But then, of course, right at the end, the Diane and Jack characters, they get together in a relationship. She tosses the Keanu relationship, obviously, and to enjoy herself, and it's like, well, it's still not really settling. I mean, at all. So I think it's kind of a terrible and thought-provoking movie. I mean, I guess you could see it from plenty of angles, but it's actually, yeah, I thought it was the theme of it. I just it wasn't convincing. The relationship wasn't convincing. The love between Diane and Jack wasn't convincing. So it's really hard to bear, actually. But you can watch it easy enough. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't watch it because of the comedy aspect, but and the more polished sort of movie aspect. But at the same time, it was also like really a little bit annoying, rubbed you off the wrong way in many ways. So yeah, you could probably have like a huge discussion over ethics and socialism and body language and really what's going on at the core of it. It could be quite long, but yes, but I'd never seen that movie before, and I thought, oh, what an awkward movie, because it just didn't. Nothing was settled. Nothing made you feel good, and you think slap it all together and have a happy ending makes sense, but you're just thinking, I don't know. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty awkward movie, I guess.